So I hope this doesn't make you lose confidence in your Sony A6500.
Let's go!
I'm a full-time videographer and I shoot a majority of my client work with the Sony A6500. And some would wonder how I have the audacity to use such middle-range camera for some of the sets I've been on. I've captured some amazing footage and some not so amazing footage throughout the years, and I'm about to spill the tea in the most non-biased way possible. If you're thinking about buying this camera to help you make money as a business or a freelancer, this video is definitely gonna have things you can keep in mind when deciding. So here are the top 3 most significant problems you can have with the Sony A6500 that might change your mind about buying one or continue using one. Old tech, auto settings. Okay, before you exit out of this video, I know it sounds general, but let me break it down. As it is an older camera, it is to be expected that Sony has improved its tech in a lot of ways. First, the autofocus. I'm not saying it's bad autofocus, but it's less smart. What the camera identifies as a possible face may indeed not be a face. Like for example here where I was trying to capture the dancers, the camera kept reverting back to that lady's head wrap. But in the same scenario, I used the Sony A7 III and the computer knew it wasn't a face, so it was quick to ignore it. Second is the auto white balance. If you are leaving it up for the camera to decide the white balance of your environment, you're gonna end up having to color correct a lot. And I mean, a lot. You know how Sony has a bad rep on their natural looking colors for the older cameras? Well, in order to maximize its beauty, you have to manually dial in your white balance every single time. So if you're not up for changing settings all the time, then this camera might not be the one. Smaller sensor. Okay, this is obviously a crop frame sensor, but without question, you'll need to buy lights and use lights for best performance. If you're shooting a wedding, don't second guess it. The reception at night will need a source of light. The more professional line of cameras are a lot more forgiving in low light situations. I'm not even talking about grain or places being too dark. If the light is inconsistent, being warm and cold for example, you will lose detail and your footage will come out softer than it should be. Now, softer than it should be could be a vibe too, but it's better to be able to manipulate that style in post. Now, before I get to the third problem, if this was helpful, please like and subscribe. Also, please leave a comment on any other significant issues y'all might be having as well. Okay, the third one's not really a camera issue, it's a people issue. Perceived value. If you're working with other videographers or marketing agencies, some of them will automatically write you off as a beginner or someone that can't be taken seriously, or this is my personal favorite, that you're broke. I cannot tell you how many jobs passed me by because the employer wanted to use a more expensive camera. Even with the ability to shoot 4K, and even if the project is dedicated to social media content, you will come across people who are hesitant to hire you based on the camera. You can be an amazing videographer with skills in camera movement, framing, understanding cinematic lighting, be an amazing storyteller, and a marketing genius, but they will still measure you by your camera size. This is also the reason why I advocate for videographers who use Sony APS-C line, because to an extent, we know it's an ego thing. I'm not saying that the more expensive cameras are not notably better performing, but it's based on the context of what you were shooting. Let me know what you think. Of course, there are other things that the Sony A6500 is lacking, and some things are actually improved in the Sony A6600. But to upgrade from the A6500 to this A6600 might not be worth it considering the price jump. You might be better off going full frame at that point. With everything being said, you work with what you have. I do have many situations where my client would have the budget for renting, and that's how I'm able to realize the difference on what has the biggest impact on using Sony A6500.